Thank you and welcome back to the program. So our next guest is coming on any second. We have a little video actually from SCCA. We're going to run the video while we bring Michael on. So let's roll the video.
The ultimate race for me as a fan of Grassroots racing and all the folks that my father raced with is the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. For me, it's the Super Bowl of Grassroots sports car racing.
The runoffs are high intensity, competitive, great spirits, and getting that national championship is the best.
Winner takes all. The runoffs are the most intense form of club racing that you'll find.
It feels very rewarding to be here after working so hard the whole season and finally just getting to the championship and being able to run the best you can.
The runoffs are the best week in racing, period. It is what I live for, and I'll never miss it, and I'll come early and I'll stay late.
Man, I just love this. This is too fun, too fun. Woohoo!
Yeah, I think that's
Families, individuals, folks have dreamed of first making it to be a runoffs competitor, being on the podium, completing the race, and then ultimately having a medal put around your neck. And it's an elite company. Paul Newman to Bobby Rahal to Bob Tullius, and then to the latest champions that'll be crowned at the runoffs at the end of the season each year.
What a great video to introduce Mike.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. That got me going again. Thank you, Francisque and Judy and Richard. Great to be here. And a shout out to my brother from a different mother, Mr. Doonan, who was the announcer for that video, who I believe is in Germany right now. So appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be part of Race Industry Week once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, thanks for bringing that video. It made me a little wistful that I wasn't able to attend the runoffs this year, either working or as a competitor. But certainly reminds us of why we love it so much.
Nothing better than a fall day at the National Park of Speed with some great grassroots motorsports event like the runoffs going on. That was actually our 60th anniversary of the SCCA National Championship runoffs this year, presented by Sunoco, and it was a great event. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, your background is a little striking because it illustrates kind of not the full gamut, but a pretty good chunk of everything that SCCA is involved in and produces for grassroots competitors of all stripes.
Right.
Given the diversity of SCCA, how do you manage kind of keeping on top of all this as president and all the various things that SCCA is involved in?
Well, I appreciate the acknowledgement that I am on top of it. I tell you, I'm a Texas boy, and I was raised with several Texas adages, one of which was, some days you're on the bull, some days the bull's on you, some days you're just full of bull. So hopefully, Richard, today I won't be full of bull. But I'll tell you, when you run, and thank you for noticing the background. I built this specifically for the show today because, we do over 2,000 events a year, over 100,000 participations through 115 different regions. And if I told you that everything runs smoothly and we execute as one orchestrated, aligned army of volunteers all the time, I might be misleading you a tad bit. It is a challenge. You know, I'm not a podium level road racer or autocrosser or anything. I'm just an enthusiast. I grew up as an enthusiast. When I had an opportunity to kind of marry my professional career and competency and experience with the opportunity to serve in a sanctioning body with a club with a rich history like the Sports Car Club of America, I jumped at the opportunity. So silly me, I thought, I mean, how hard can it be? I mean, you know, you race cars, and I have since found out in 7 years, Richard, that it can be very difficult. And you know, the nuance of road racing versus the nuance of road rally versus the nuance of solo versus hill climb versus track night in America, all the things. While we're purposefully built to serve grassroots enthusiasts across North America and deliver the best experience possible, how you deliver that is very different for each one of those programs, right? Some require licenses, some don't require licenses, some take place on a defined venue, a road course, some take place, our largest solo event takes place every year on 100 acres of bare concrete in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's bare when we get there. In less than a week, it's a tent city. And before you know it, we've got 1,500 participants racing across 7 days. So, it's a very challenging ride on that bull to kind of keep everybody grounded and going the same direction, the right direction. But I'm pretty proud of the progress we've made over the past several years since COVID. We've bounced back very strong. We have, at this point, more full-time members than we've ever had in recent history. We track all of our programs from an overall experience score. It's kind of a poor man's net promoter score, if you're familiar with that concept. And we do everything in our power to deliver programs and experiences for folks that score at 90 or above. You know, and simple math for Mike means you know, if you got 10 people, 9 out of 10 say it met or exceeded their expectations. And if you can do that consistently over time, I think you're going the right direction. Right. So that's kind of what we focus on.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of new programs since you took the helm. You've got a lot of smart people over there that are trying to grow the club and continue to offer new things to members. You know, how are some of these things, you know, do you see growth coming in as a result of things like, you know, the new spec classes, the club spec, the race experience?
Yeah.
You know, are these things attracting new people and getting them into seats?
Yeah, no, great question. I would say, I mean, two of the things you mentioned, club spec and SMX, right? So let's just kind of break those down real quick. So SMX is the NC platform road racing class for SCCA road racing. I would say that they absolutely crushed it this year in a positive way. Not only did we see strong subscription pretty much at all events, we also saw a little bit younger demographic engaging with us through that class, right? Which is I was listening to Michael and to Tony earlier, and they were talking about, you know, how are you engaging an earlier, younger demo into motorsports? Well, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Certainly one of the ways is to, through a class like SMX, which is, you know, a low barrier to access, entry-level class, high performance, great racing, very competitive. And a lot of the men and women that drive in that class, you know, they're sub 30 kind of talents in terms of age. And that's great to see around the track and in the paddock, certainly. The club spec program on the, I was going to say on the solo side, but really club spec was designed around two platforms for solo, time trials, track events. And you mentioned club racing experience. We're working on getting an approved full cage for those cars so that you can use them in all of those programs as well as club race experience going forward. I'm really excited about that. But those classes really launched this year with the S197 and the NC platform Club Spec Miata. And we had a very, very strong showing of both those classes at Solo Nationals this year at Lincoln. Straight up, I'm an NC platform owner. And unfortunately, I did a 2.5 swap in mine before we launched the Club Spec classes. Usually, as usual, I kind of move before I should. And having driven a Club Spec Miata at Solo Nats, I really had regrets about doing a 2.5 swap. I wish I would have just kept the 2-liter in there, put the Penske's all the way around it, built it to spec. You know, the spec line that's defined for the platform, because it's an absolute blast. On course, on track, and it's still docile enough that if you need to run the quick trip and pick up some groceries or something like that, you know, you're not running insane spring rates that knock your teeth out if you're driving down the road. So, you know, again, we have classes that appeal to the dedicated full-on wheel-to-wheel sprint racer, and then we have classes that or events or programs like Track Night in America, where you don't need a roll bar, you don't need a license. It's not wheel to wheel. It's not for time. It's really about getting you from, gosh, I would really love to get on track and experience that. Whether you're in a Mustang, a Miata, a GR86, it doesn't matter, right? Get you on track, give you that experience. And we found that kind of program, in addition to the other things that you mentioned, the other programs that you've mentioned, those are really kind of I'm going to use an inappropriate metaphor, but those are kind of the great gateway drugs, if you will, to grassroots amateur motorsports. Track Night in America, for example, does north of 10,000 participations every year. And we have seen folks who've gone from no SCCA affiliation to SCCA affiliation to SCCA solo to SCCA time trials to SCCA road racing, just through that kind of program. So I think being intentional with program and design to attract different folks, knowing that we're really a buffet, not meaning if you're a track event enthusiast, we've got that for you. If you're on the other end of the continuum and you want the best amateur road racing experience in North America and the most competitive, then you need to get a lot of seat time and a lot of driving skills to be able to compete at Road America and the Runoffs, but we've got that for you on the other end of the spectrum too. And so I think, you know, a challenge that we have is continually evolving those programs to not only serve the members that we have, but to invite folks that we don't have into the organization to help, you know, to really give them the best experience that they can get, and to keep them coming back. So that's really our focus. But those programs have been, I think, very successful in helping us grow adoption and participation. Absolutely.
Well, as a Spec MX-5 competitor myself, I'm kind of glad to hear you sing the praises of that class. Although, yes, it's been interesting to watch these new fast young kids come in and provide a new benchmark, as it were,
right.
to my level of competitiveness.
Absolutely understand.
And you know, at the same time, you know, as you bring in new programs and new classes, you know, you've got a lot of members that are tied to what they've been doing for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
How do you, you know, one of the challenges you certainly face is dealing with, you know, these I'll call them legacy classes, you know, that, you know, for which there aren't new cars being built anymore, or certainly not at the level they were.
Right.
Formula classes being a lot of those. You know, how do you, one, is there an interest in keeping those classes, you know, alive, and two, how do you keep the people that are participating in those classes, you know, happy and or give them an alternative?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And you know, Tony, in the previous segment, Tony, I think, was asked a question: how do you manage some of that? How do you manage BOP? How do you manage who's on course or on track with one another, and all those things? And you know, if I had the answers, the absolute answers to all of those, we'd be doing this from the front porch of my big ranch in Wyoming, because I would be able to monetize that knowledge and expertise with all sanctioning bodies. But in all seriousness, no, that is a huge challenge for us. I mean, we're going through some transition right now on the road racing side, where you know, a historical marker for being invited to things like majors or super tours, or certainly the runoffs, has been based on class size and class participation, average class size, over a year and stuff like that. And if you fail to meet a certain level of participation across the country, across that time period, then that class is at risk for being involved or invited to those events, right? And nobody likes not inviting a member to an event. We try our best to give them alternative locations to play with their cars if possible. And then the other side of that is sometimes you have to make room for other classes which are new and are growing in participation and subscription, because otherwise you end up crowding something that's growing out with something where you have, maybe less than 10 cars on track racing for a championship or major, or for points. Or you find yourself in a situation where you're working to combine classes on track at one time that really shouldn't be on track at one time, right? Whether that's speed differential, whether it's about open wheel, closed wheel, whether it's about weight, whether it's about safety. I mean, it's about all those things. And so there's not a short, simple answer on that. And the ugly truth is, while we try really hard as staff and as program boards and as a board of directors to make the best decisions we can on behalf of the entire club, sometimes we get them wrong. Many times we get them right. Nobody remembers those. Everybody remembers the other ones. Oftentimes we do upset people that have been around for a while and want to know, why can't I continue to play in my car, in my class? And it's a challenge for us. And, one of the biggest challenges I think we have in this organization is having a foot in the past and a foot in the future, right? Because when you do that, you're squarely straddling the fence, and that's not a great position to be. But I think it is a position that really all sanctioning bodies find themselves, and trying to find, there's not a static place on that continuum where you are all the time, right? You're always evolving, you're always moving forward, et cetera. And we're working on some things as we go into 2024, where some of the impact classes, for example, I think we have approximately 26 majors across the country from a road racing perspective scheduled currently for 25. And we've added, I think it's 5 bonus majors, what we're calling them, for some of our open wheel community that have been negatively impacted by some scheduling decisions that have had to been made over the last, or going forward as we look into 2025. So to your question or your point about, do you try to give them an alternative place to play? We absolutely do. Straight up, sometimes they don't like those alternative places to play. But we certainly try to give everybody a home to experience, hashtag fun with cars to the degree that we can do that, and do it affordably and efficiently through the regions and at a national level as well.
Excellent. Well, we spent a lot of time talking about the those in the driver's seat, but there's of course another contingent of the SCCA membership that plays a key role, obviously, John Doonan narrating the video. I understand he spent some time on a corner at the runoffs with a flag in his hand.
Believe it or not, John and I were on the same corner, much to the chagrin of the flagging chief, who felt like, I think they felt that there was severe risk on turn 14 with Cobb and Doonan working the corner. Fortunately, Richard, we had 2 stalwarts working with us, directing us on how to show up with flags. But yeah, that was a blast with John. John, as you know, is just a superhuman, not only a super leader for IMSA, but we actually have, getting to your kind of your point and comment around supporting volunteers. A couple of years back, we actually launched a concept we called SCCA Academy. It's basically a LMS, a learning management system that's online, to help us continue to grow, develop, and train 115 region leaders, all of our stewards, all of our event leads, people like Cobb who just want to go flag. And over the past several years, we've I think just in 2024 alone, I think we've had over 1,600 course completions inside SCCA Academy. And that's everything from region leadership development training to FNC module certification training development to new driver orientation and training. I mean, it runs the gamut of things. Solo safety steward training, road rally safety steward training. You know, we have to, there's quite a big cadre, to your point, of volunteers that fuel those 2,000 plus events across the country every year. And so this is a mechanism to outreach, train, retain, and activate those folks. And we actually just got done with well, two things. One, on the flagging communication side, we've actually had 900 folks go through our F&C module just this year alone. I'm one of them. And we just, in partnership with IMSA and with John and his team, just launched a IMSA certification module. Think of it as a ladder series for flagging communication workers, if you will, right? So that Mike is certified to support SCCA events. I've already taken the IMSA module and become certified there. So when I go to the Rolex 24 next year, I show up and they say, well, what are your qualifications? What are your certifications? They can look and see that I've at least taken the course, and the corner captain has some assurance that I know the difference between a yellow flag and a red flag, and maybe has some confidence of sticking me out on turn 5 at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, to do my job. So that is I'm actually, John and I are actually speaking at PRI next week to the track operators group on Thursday before the show officially opens on Friday, to really speak to more about how we're working together to attract, train, and retain, you know, the volunteer force of the future that's needed not only for SCCA, but, you know, in all humility, we're also the backbone for multiple pro sanctioning bodies in North America as well, including Formula One. And so it kind of, again, using kind of that feeder series concept, it kind of starts with us, and then we flow, hopefully trained and qualified, competent leaders into these other programs. So partnering with somebody like IMSA, I think is going to work out well for multiple parties involved, and really help us grow the total pool of volunteers and give them, you know, I have folks who see me and they say, well, how did you get on a corner? Why would they let you on a corner, you know, to work and support them? And they have a lot of interest. So now we have a path. We actually have a volunteer concierge, Sydney Davis Yeagle, who works and supports road racing, who is a F1 steward in training, I believe, if not a full-blown F1 steward. I mean, she knows all the things. And so the way it works now is you raise your hand, you say, hey, I'd love to learn more about volunteering. That lead goes to Sydney. Sydney then works with all of our division admins and leads to then route them to the appropriate folks geographically. We get them involved in training. We get them out on a corner or in the discipline of their choosing, right, to support an event. And that's how you do it. I mean, it's using a Woody Hayes line, it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. There's no easy way to get there. It takes a lot of work and a lot of connectivity, but we're trying to build out that infrastructure and that pathway so that we can do a better job of recruiting people in, getting them trained, and then getting them out to events to support it. Because, you know, I'm probably the odd duck, but once I did it, I was hooked, and I want to do it more. You know, my theology is if you can't drive an apex, work an apex. That's kind of the way I look at it. So, but that's me.
Fair enough. Well, I certainly, as someone who got their SCCA start in autocross and working corners, I can certainly understand the appeal. Interesting that you mentioned that you have a certification, a training for IMSA specifically. How are you feeling about the partnership between SCCA and IMSA?
I love it. Again, I'm a little bit of a fanboy when it comes to Mr. Doonan, so I'll admit my bias up front. I just think he's a great human. He's a man of integrity, and if you want to emulate a sanctioning body in North America, I'd probably emulate IMSA. I think they're doing a fabulous job. I think they're on fire. I think what they're doing with cars and classing is phenomenal. I think you go to their events, if you can get into their events, because they're so packed. I mean, it's a great experience. It's great racing. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things on John and Ed and the team's to-do list, but I think they're knocking out quite a few of them, and I think they're doing a really, really great job. So, you know, John's roots go way back into the SCCA. You know, I think his home track is Road America. Spent a lot of time growing up around that track, and so He's a longtime member and a longtime ally and supporter of the club. So I think that relationship is great. We've got a lot more things we want to do with that relationship going forward. And candidly, I'd like to take that model and maybe expand it to some of our other professional series partners around the ACAS table, like IndyCar, and some of the other folks, if appropriate, to kind of continue to scale that learning and best practices going forward.
Excellent. Well, we're up against our time limit, but I'll ask you one more. What's coming down the pipeline that's kind of exciting you most in SCCA's world?
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're headed back to National Park of Speed in 25 for a second swing at the Runoffs. I think that'll be awesome. Love working with the team up there. I mentioned we're adding the bonus majors, 4 or 5 events of bonus majors to our majors tour this year to really give some of our classes more ability to access some great tracks and some great racing. Time Trials Nationals is moving from NCM to pit race in 25. So we're really excited about that. NCM's been great. Pit race is going to be great as well. We're launching a couple of new programs or flavors to Time Trials Tour going forward to allow folks more access to the event, actually introducing a shootout concept that kind of involves maybe good for you and I, Richard. It involves autocross as well as on-track experience. So we're looking forward to launching that. And also, we're going to find a way to dial up our focus on club race experience as well, because we think that's a great tool for creating access for more enthusiasts. So all of those things. And yeah, we've got a lot of plates spinning. So we're really excited about 2025.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time today.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for having us back. We appreciate the opportunity.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Looking for a quick fix of motorsports news? The Speed Sport Daily is what you need. It's a free racing newsletter delivered directly to your email every day. We'll cover the winners and the losers and tell you who's making news off the track. It's NASCAR, NHRA, World of Outlaw, IndyCar, and so much more. Go to speedsport.com today and get signed up for America's free racing newsletter and get your daily motorsports fix. The Speed Sport Daily.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
Scott Lewis & Associates, the sales, marketing, and branding specialist for the automotive performance industry since 1988. We get our manufacturers on track by opening an extensive distribution network, providing product training to sales staff, creating fully integrated sales and marketing strategies, building successful industry partnerships, attending trade shows, events, and races, offering first-class support to customers. SLAI delivers solutions that win you sales. To get in touch with an SLAI representative, call 516-378-6100. Go to scottlewisinc.com or email info@scottlewisinc.com.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series.
For over a decade, Fifth Third Bank has been a staunch supporter of our industry and a great partner for many companies in the motorsports field.
Our business has been growing extremely fast, and really we could not be where we are today without Fifth Third. They provided amazing strategic advice, the capital we need to support our phases of growth.
They are true partners for me now, and what they do with their involvement in motorsports is untouched in this community.
Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crower Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crower Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crower Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crower, victory is within your reach.
For over 25 years, Wisconsin-based C-Tech Manufacturing has been engineering and manufacturing the toughest, most accessible aluminum tool drawers, cabinets, carts, and tactical storage solutions for America's hardest working professionals. Whatever you need to store and however you need to store it, put your trust in C-Tech Manufacturing. We build it better. Visit our new website at ctechmanufacturing.com or give us a call at 715-355-8842.
If you're watching this video, you might be wondering,
What is WPC? WPC is a surface treatment designed to reduce friction and increase the strength of metal parts. As much as it might seem like a coating, WPC is actually a surface treatment. Think of it like shot painting, but the media is much finer, like talc. So what you're left with is a super hard, smooth surface that actually has some proprietary dry lubricants embedded within it. For more information, visit WPCtreatment.com.